Hello everybody, Demon Red Mist here, and I'm on GT Sport to do a bit of a guide for the next track in the dynamic GT League, which is a Dragon Trail Seaside, a track which I must admit I really do like. I know a lot of the drivers like it as well, but it can be a little bit of a tricky little bastard. However, I'm going to do this particular guide. I'm going to try a different style than previous videos, because I have realised that there is something that I've not really sort of gone into for anybody. There's me looking up the list. It's the fucking second one there. Yeah, so what I'm going to try and do here is, rather than doing a couple of flying laps and then doing a corner by corner guide, because most people should know this track by now. Also, you'll see I've got a different change of colour on the car. Thank James Hulkenberg for that, otherwise known as Foreshore Design, as I named him. He didn't have a choice. And I just realised I left my acid juice on the other side of the room, so I'll go and grab that because I'll need it. Yeah, so I'm not going to do the corner by corner guide because most people in the league should know this track by now. However, if you don't know the track too well and you are looking for tips, then as I am driving round, I will hopefully try and talk about what I'm doing. But what I'm going to try and do today, as I said, I want to do things a little differently, is rather than do sort of one or two flying laps, I'm going to try and effectively do a stint. So that I can show why perhaps I brake earlier than other people, and also how to cope with the tyres going off. I'm hoping that noise I can hear is just sound noise because we're at the seaside. Yeah, it is. Yeah, so sort of the effects of how the car will handle when there's some tyre wear on, and how I drive around it or try to drive around it. So, I mean, there may be a few basic things that perhaps people hadn't realised. As I've noticed with a few things, it's not until someone points it out that it suddenly becomes like, oh yeah, you know what, now you said that, it's a good point. So I will try and do that today. Now I haven't done any driving yet today, so I haven't done any warming up. So literally I'm just going to go out there and see how many laps I can do on my tyres. As for the setup, I'm kind of in two minds. Do I give away my setup? But you know what? I've been giving my setup out since race 1. So I am going to show my setup. And there are a couple of things about it to do with the gears that are specific for this track, this car, and the handling of this car. But I'll try and mention that as I am driving around. But I will just quickly show you through my setup. So slight changes here. The rest is default. There's my wings. Drivetrain's default. And there's my gears. Now the gears may seem a bit odd for those that are trying them, but that's just what I preferred. Excuse me. And one of the reasons for that is it's to do with stability of the rear of the car around this track. I'm not going to do a fast out lap. Yeah, so it's to do with the ability of the grip of the rear end. Now you can go with a very high rear wing, and go for just out and out handling. Problem is, if you do that, there are some very quick sections of this track, and you could end up being a little bit of a sitting duck. If you go too low on the wings though, even if you are able to take certain corners flat out, you are going to suffer, and as the tyres wear, you're going to suffer a lot more as well. I'm just doing this out lap of sort of half speed at the moment. So interestingly, I mentioned about the gears, that I have the gears set a particular way. And basically my whole gear ratio is set up so that I can use second gear in the final corner and in the first chicane. But the first chicane is a little more tricky than just using second gear for it, and hopefully I'll be able to show that. Now the reason I'm using second gear is because it gives much better turning than third gear, and as the tyres wear more, you don't get understeer anywhere near as much as if you take that corner in third gear. Okay, so braking point for the first corner, it's about the start of the curb on the right. And try and brake in as straight a line as possible and stay right till you're off the brakes. I'm changing up to third before I go round the right hander. I am short shifting to third to kill any possibility of oversteer and wheel spin. Try not to get too much of the curb on the right there. If you do, when you're on the throttle, it will spin you. This section, absolutely flat out. If you are running wide here, you're either running way too little wing, or more than likely you're actually turning in a little late. Okay, braking point is about 125 metres, and you've got to be hard on the brakes. Be careful on the throttle out of that corner as well. If need be, short shift to third, and then we're flat out through here. That's the aim anyway, without hitting the walls. You can easily do it flat out, however, there's a particular rule you're going to have to stick to through there, and I'll mention it on the next one. I'm upshifting to third, sort of about halfway through that corner, but again, I'm not doing it because my gears are wrong, I'm doing it to kill the oversteer and be able to be full throttle. I'm now going to brake a little bit before the curve for turn 1. Okay, technically it's turn 2, but for the first chicane. So my braking point is now just before the start of the curve. So this is sort of race mode. Change colour in tarmac. Don't go late on the brakes here, it doesn't really benefit you. But nice and smooth on the throttle and the steering. Don't be afraid here, even if you do run a little wide. You can do a lift and recover, but try and be nice and smooth. Okay, so change your tarmac again, that's about 125. Make sure you've got it all the way slowed down. Okay, so I mentioned through here, it is flat out, but if you put both front wheels over this curb, you bounce a lot more. So the aim is to get the front left on the curb, but not the front right. Okay, brake just before the start of the curb. Be off the brakes when you turn in. Okay, so I'm going to keep going here and just do, like I said, do a stint on the tyres, and we'll see whether my braking points have to change or how much I can steer changes and what I do to adapt. So just before the curb, then come off the brakes sooner. It looks after the tyres, and I can be quick on the exit because I'm stable on the way in. on the throttle a little early there, but it's fine. Even though it was a little early, it's not danger. This is a corner, people see it as an overtaking point. It can be, but if you brake 1 metre too late, you're going deep and you're going slow. And as the tyres wear, it's going to get harder and harder to slow the car down here. Okay, so left front on the curb. So I was a little too far away from the curb on the left, so I had to lift through the right. One of the things I'll try and mention as well, perhaps on this lap, is situations like if you are following another car. Now in turn 1 and 2, just do your best. Just don't wipe anybody out. Down here, you can attempt the overtake if you want. However, you're better off making the other person defend the inside. You focus on getting the race in line and do a switch back on them and get ahead of them here. If you're behind a car down here, it's advisable to lift at this point and then you can be flat out all the way up the hill. If you don't lift and you're quite close to the car behind, you'll have to lift up the hill, and you don't want to do that, you'll lose more speed. Now move my braking point forward for that hairpin now because of a little bit of tyre wear. It is going to cost me lap time, but that's to be expected. Kept it absolutely pinned that time. So as the tyre wear is starting to creep in a little bit now, you'll notice that I do start braking a tiny bit sooner, and a tiny bit sooner. And that's to compensate for that extra bit of tyre wear that I've got. Yes, it equates to lap time loss, but if I tried braking at the start of this curve hard, okay, I can do it, but I'm a little bit out of shape. I'm going wide here because the tyres haven't quite got the grip. If I do that every lap, I'm going to destroy my tyres. So now on the wheel, I can feel that the car is starting to get a little bit light. It's moving about a little bit more because of the wear on the tyres, and because I put a little bit of a heat cycle through them going through turns 1 and 2. Short shifting here is a very good way of absolutely killing any wheel spin or oversteer. Curve. So I couldn't quite get into the apex then, even though I was turning in at a similar point. The front just hasn't quite got that grip to stick in there. Hasn't got the grip to slow me down at the same rate in that corner. So those couple of moments there show that I have to brake that little bit sooner. Okay, if I had more wing on, I may not be suffering as much as I am now, but I do want to show that you can kind of drive through it. You just have to know to brake a little bit sooner and focus on carrying the speed through the middle of the corner and on the exit of the corner, rather than trying to brake as late as possible and as hard as possible. There's one way to look at it is you have X amount of tyre wear. If you use it all up in those first 2 laps, you are not going to have the tyres for your last 2 laps. But if you look after them in those first 2 laps, and the following 2 laps, and the following 2 laps, you'll realise your tyres can last a hell of a lot longer. So I'm comfortably making this corner now. bit of wheel spin on the exit, but I'm to expect that with the level of tyre wear we've got. So that's where I'm now going to have to start driving around that on the exit of that hairpin now. I can do that one of two ways: brake that a little bit sooner and be a lot more cautious on the throttle, or short shift, which I didn't do on that occasion. Now you don't want to short shift too soon, because if you do, it'll take forever to really get the power going. But you don't want to shift too late if you're using it to kill wheel spin. Okay, front tyres are struggling a little bit. They didn't slow down as well into that first corner. Yep, we're down at 50% on the tyres. So now we're into the danger zone, or the first stage of the danger zone, where the car's really going to start handling very differently. The braking points are probably going to have to come forward a bit more. I would still expect high-speed cornering to be okay, but I am running a little bit wider now. But we can handle it. The car can handle it's in the higher speeds. It's in the slower speeds where we're going to have to be careful. Now I was coming out of that corner a little bit too tight really, but that's why I used third gear to kill the wheel spin. Now I did take a lot of curb on the apex of the left hand side that time, more than I would really like to. Okay, so I'm pretty much going to try and drive these tyres until undrivable. But I am going to bring the braking point forward a little bit here. Not a lot, just enough to make sure I keep clipping the apexes. I can feel the front is sliding a little bit more, but that's why I brought the braking point forward. So imagine now if you did your first 2 laps braking as late as physically possible, then your tyres start wearing at this point, and then you brake a little earlier, but you're still, sorry I didn't mean to lift there, but you're still braking a hell of a lot later than I am right now. Chances are you're not going to slow down for the corners, and chances are you're going to think that your tyres are absolutely shanked. So, I mean, I braked at about 125 there, and the tyres just haven't got the grip in them anymore not to brake at that point. Struggling a little more on the higher speed corners, but I'm going to keep going. This next lap's going to be horrible though, I reckon. And this is a 133, so okay, I lifted in a couple of places I normally wouldn't, but that's a big time loss, 2 seconds. Now we're going to have to be very careful. Yeah, front end's not wanting to turn in, rear end's going to go. But I'm aware of it, I know it's coming, so I can drive through it or around it at the moment. My rear trying to go again, but can control it with the short shift. This is going to get a little tricky. Yeah, it doesn't want to turn in, I've got to lift. Okay, so now that I know I can't turn that in there, I mean, normally I probably wouldn't run the tyres this long anyway, but I am going to try and do another lap to show you how I would counteract the inability of turning there. But now that it's happened in that high-speed turn-in, I know it's going to struggle here. Little lift, sorted. I'm 15-20 mile an hour slower than I'd like to be through there, but if I don't do it, I'm probably hitting the wall and losing a lot more time. Okay, so this lap's going to be a what? 133, 4? 134. So another additional nearly second time loss. Now the front is really not going to want to work. But you can kind of make it work as long as you brake earlier and earlier and earlier and earlier. To stop there, I'm down to first. Okay, so this corner coming up, previously I couldn't turn in flat out. Tiny lift, sorted. So just that tiny little lift is all the car needed to allow the tyre to still make the corner. So, I mean, these tyres are pretty much in a state of I wouldn't be racing on them, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but I'm doing this video like this to, as I said, to show more about the effect of the tyre wear and what you have to be aware to do, and it is literally from lap to lap to lap to lap, because every lap you do, the tyre wear is different. He didn't want to slow down. You may notice that I thought about turning in there and I chose not to, because as I went to turn in I could tell there was no grip there, so I needed to keep the front wheel straighter to allow the car to slow down a little more before I went for the turn in. Now with this corner as well, you may also be able to go, but it doesn't work as well. And one of the reasons for that is you don't get the weight transfer, the weight balance from doing that lift, and a little bit of engine braking transfers weight from one end of the car to the other, giving the front end a little bit more grip. That's why doing a lift can have a dramatic effect of your ability of turning in. Yeah, these tyres are pretty much done. Yeah, now it's struggling to turn in on most corners. Okay, so hopefully I've been able to show there a decent representation of how to go about dealing with the tyre wear. So one of the things that I would say is I'm just going to go to turn 1. I don't call this kink turn 1, it's the actual bit you need to brake for. Okay, so this corner here, right, I just want to sort of sit here and make an example of this. This corner here, I know full well that on a brand new set of tyres I can brake at the start of that curb on the right and make the corner. And I know I could probably do it for lap number 2, but lap number 3 I ain't going to do it. So, in a qualifying situation, you can brake at the start of that curb to make this corner, right? But in a race situation, you probably don't ever actually want to do that, because if you brake at the start of that curb, as I said, you might be able to do it for 1 lap, or you will be able to do it for 1 lap, you might be able to do it for 2 laps, but come the 3rd lap you're going to have to then bring that braking point further towards you, right? But think about it this way, for lap 1 and 2, if you bring the braking point closer or further forward, so instead of 100 metres, 105 metres, you instantly give yourself better tyre wear. And if you then do that for every single corner on the track, you instantly give yourself better tyre wear, and that tyre wear will benefit you in lap time, not on the laps you are doing then, but at the laps time, in lap time on the laps at the end of your stint. So looking at my lap counter on the right hand side here, it's sort of 30s and 31s, right? But for 8 laps I was able to keep it around about the same sort of times, okay, because I was looking after the tyres. If I nailed that braking zone for the first 2 laps, then you'd probably find that lap 7 and lap 8 would be in the 32s and the 33s instead of lap 9 and lap 10. So that's why giving yourself a little bit of extra margin in braking zones can benefit you so much in tyres. And okay, yes, you may feel that you're going to get overtaken if you do that. That's fine, because the other guy's going to kill his tyres. Play the long game. Anyway, that's it for the guide video on this. I haven't gone into great detail, but hopefully throughout the course of those 12 laps you will be able to see pretty much everything that I am doing around this track. So there you go. Now, something I am going to do in a moment is, once I've ended this stream, I am going to be starting up a new stream, because for the last few weeks I've been saving up money to buy a car, and I've now got enough money. So on the next live stream, which will be on in a few moments time, I am going to buy said car and take it for a drive. Okay, right. Make sure you check out Dynamic GT League's YouTube channel for their league race footage, and I'll see you in a few minutes.